Hello, this is a tutorial just to help you get started with bitKlavier. This is on a Mac. If you are interested in working with the iOS version, you probably won't get too much out of this other than some of the basics of bitKlavier. This is mostly about just getting started, getting sound with it and installing it on a Mac. And the procedure is quite similar for Windows. So to begin with, I'm assuming you've downloaded both the application and this bitKlavier resources folder. These are available on the bitKlavier site and also the GitHub site for the bitKlavier project. And it's important that that folder be left unnamed and installed in your Documents folder. And this is similar on Windows as well. bitKlavier will look here to find both the piano samples and the galleries that you might create or get from other people. At the moment, there's just sort of a dummy set of galleries here that will show up when you open the application. So make sure that you've put this folder in your Documents folder, and you haven't renamed it or anything like that, and you haven't renamed the samples of the galleries folders. One of the first problems people run into, if they haven't done this, the application will quit on start. Okay, so I've installed the application itself in my Applications folder and also put it on my dock down here. So I'm going to try to open it here. And one of the first things that many of you will run into is this common thing that Apple foists on all of us, that it can't be opened because it's from an unidentified developer. So there are a couple ways around this, and this one is to go to your Systems Preferences and go to Security and Privacy, and then you can click Open Anyway, and it will open and you should be able to use it from there on. So that's again in System Preferences, Security. You can also simply Control-click on the application and press Open. And now, after having Control-clicked on it, it'll give the option here to open it anyway, and then it'll allow it to run on this machine going forward. So I'm going to do that so that I can get this opened, and we can take a look at it. Okay, so it's opened up back here. And if any of you have used the old version of bitKlavier, you'll recognize right away that that was super fast. It loaded a full set of samples incredibly quickly. And so that's super exciting. Now, at the moment, it should actually, if you press here, make some sound. And it does not, which is a major bummer. Okay, let's see. Interesting. Here's the reason why. This is good to go over. The first thing is, one of the first things to do, and you only have to do this once when you first use the application, is this Options button on the top left. This is where you set both the audio interface and the MIDI interfaces you might be using. So if I press Options and I click on Audio MIDI Settings, you'll see that output is set to none, so it's not going to make any sound. So I'm going to set that to the built-in output. And actually now, I lied before, now you see it loading the samples. And actually, it loads it still very quickly. It used to take a couple minutes in the old version of bitKlavier. Okay, so now it's loaded the samples, and that's great. And I'm going to just go here, and we can hear that it's making sound, which is really exciting. So that's a good start. I want to go back to Options, however, and to the Audio MIDI settings, and look at a couple other things here. One is that there's a sample rate setting, and I recommend leaving it at 44/100. That's the native sample rate for the samples that are used in bitKlavier. The audio buffer size, this is something that I typically would set to, say, 128. The thing about the audio buffer size is that basically it allows you to negotiate a compromise between efficiency, like how efficient the application is, with responsiveness, how responsive it is to input and output, how much of a delay you're going to get from pressing a key and hearing a sound. So with 128 sample buffer size, you're looking at 2.9 milliseconds. So it's not going to be exactly that, but it means a very low latency, much lower than the original bitKlavier. However, 128 also means it should run pretty efficiently and shouldn't kill your CPU when you try to run it. Some people like to run it even lower, 64 samples or lower, to make it just feel even more responsive. You're welcome to do that, especially if you've got a faster machine and you're not trying to do too many other things at the same time. Finally, there's a MIDI input device window here where you can choose devices or even other buses like the IAC driver if you want to use other software to talk to bitKlavier. I have a little MIDI keyboard attached to the LPK25, and so I've got that selected. You might need to select this if you've attached a new device, and if it's not making sound with bitKlavier, you should just check this first and make sure that your device is being listened to by bitKlavier. So, interesting. Let's see, is this still making sound? It is indeed. And for some reason, this isn't working. Let me try it again here. Oh, how funny. So my, the things that can go wrong are amazing. I'm actually glad all these things are going wrong while I'm doing this. So I was pressing the keyboard, not getting sound, and I couldn't figure out why. And it turned out that I had the octave down button pressed several times. So it was trying to play notes below the bottom of the lowest note on the piano. And so bitKlavier wasn't doing anything with it. Now, I'm getting sound. Okay, so we've gotten the thing opened, we've gotten past the unidentified developer thing, we've gotten the software installed properly, we've checked the audio MIDI settings, I ran into various problems. Great. Now we can actually play with the instrument, which is great. You can see off to the left that we have a level meter that gives you a sense of the levels that the instrument is generating. It's also just a nice way to confirm that your instrument is making sound if you're not hearing it and maybe it's making sound but you've got your headphones turned down or something like that. Also off to the right, there's a gain slider here, which you can use to adjust the relative gain of the instrument. So by default, it opens with a very basic piano, and I'm not going to, in this tutorial, show you really how this works, other than to say that the key map here, this preparation, determines which keys are going to be active on whatever it's connected to, and these are all highlighted, so they're all going to be active. And that key map is attached to a so-called direct preparation, which is just the direct sound of the piano. I'm double-clicking on these to open these windows where you can manipulate the contents of these preparations. And then there's a tuning preparation which sets the tuning for this piano. So if I wanted, right now it's an equal temperament, if I wanted to put it in some kind of just tuning, I might do this, which is going to sound slightly different than the equal temperament. So the tuning object here is connected to the direct preparation, which sets its tuning, and it might be connected to other preparations as well. We'll get into all that in some future tutorials. For now, basically what I want to do is show you what these menus do so that you can get started playing with the instrument. Probably the first thing you would do is explore this menu here where it says Basic Piano. And this basic piano has, this menu has a whole bunch of galleries in it. Galleries are collections of pianos that can be used. So for instance, Mike's gallery. So this is a collection of pianos that Mike Molshine created that are really cool and fun and do crazy stuff. And that gallery, actually over this menu here, you can see several different pianos that exist inside of this gallery, and you can click on them to see how the gallery changes. Going back to the basic piano, this one only has one piano in it, and many galleries have only one, but some have several pianos in them, and we'll get into why that is in a later tutorial as well. But one of the places you might want to start is just looking at some of the examples. The examples here are many, and they include some comments to help show you what's going on in them. So you can read the comments here and then take a look inside the preparations to see how they work. And that's a really great way to get started with learning how the instrument works. On the other hand, perhaps you're here just to play some existing pieces. Maybe you're here to play some of the micro-etudes. So the micro-etudes are short pieces written by a whole collection of composers, and you want to play some of them. And so you come in here and you want to play Didymus, for instance. Oops, I got to actually let it change first. So that'll open up the preparation for that particular micro-etude. Or if you're here to play the nostalgic synchronic etudes, pieces that I've written, you can open these here. You can't edit these. These are built-in galleries that are meant to be static. However, if you want to use one of these as a starting point for a new gallery, what you can do is come over to this gallery menu here and say Save As. And what I recommend doing is if you put it in your galleries folder here, and you can make a new folder, for instance, say, I'm going to say, messed up galleries, just for fun. And then I'm going to say, this is what's called marbles. I'm going to say messed up marbles. And so now I've made a copy of this gallery. And that gallery shows up here in this menu. And just to point something out here, coming back to the Finder here, if we go to Galleries, we'll now see that folder and that gallery here. It's a text file. And what's useful about that is you can email this to somebody if you want to share it. You can actually, if need be, you could go in and edit it directly. Hopefully you won't have to do that very much. But basically the idea is that the structure of this menu underneath this line mirrors the structure of this directory here. So if you remove things from here, they will disappear from here. In fact, I'll do that right now. I'm going to remove this custom galleries folder. And now if I come back here, that custom galleries folder is gone. So now I have a version of that marbles gallery with several pianos in it, which if I want, I can edit and change and then save and so on. A couple other things about this gallery menu here. We can do a variety of things. You can open older bitKlavier galleries. So if you work with the early version of bitKlavier that uses JSON files, you can open them here. They'll mostly open and work fine. There are some things that don't import from version 1 to this particularly well, so you might need to tweak it to get it right. Loading samples, if you want to load something lighter that loads more quickly, or if you're running into RAM issues, you can load smaller sample sets. And you can also share your galleries via email, messages, and Facebook, and so on here. And then settings for the gallery, you can actually change the tuning for the entire gallery. Let's say you're playing a Baroque piece at A415. You can change that here, and now the whole instrument will be tuned at A415 instead of 440. You can also adjust the tempo of all the preparations inside by changing a multiplier here. Okay, now let's say just a couple other things to help get you started. Let's say I'm back at a basic piano and I'm going to save this as a new piano, say, basic, messed up basic piano. And now let's say I want to actually add some preparations. The action menu here is one where you can add preparations. You can add, and again, we'll get into the types of these, all of these in future tutorials. But let's say I want to add a nostalgic preparation. I can do that via this add action. Or you can also see there are keystrokes listed, so I could just type N as well. But I'm going to click that here. Now I have a nostalgic preparation, which plays piano sounds backwards, but nothing happens. And that's in part because I need to connect the key map to the preparation. To do that, you press Command, and then you click on the key map, and you drag to the object you want to prepare it to. Connect it to. Same thing here, I want to connect this nostalgic to the tuning. So I'll press Command, click on this, drag over to tuning. So click drag. And if you want to clean things up, I get a little fastidious. You can select a couple of these, and you can, under action, you can say align. I want to make a row, and then these I want to turn into a nice, neat, straight column, so that it looks nice and clean. Now I can play this, and we'll get a reverse sound, and I can save this so that it's there, and I can use it in the future or share it.